Hello and welcome back. It is a new day today. We have new things to accomplish, so we are going to get started. If you know me at all, you know I have a gazillion projects in the works, but you also know that I'm going to add another one. You know, that's me, adding new projects. We've got a fun one today. We are starting with several of these. They're called mini charms, and this one's called Flower Patch by Moda. And then we are starting with some charm packs, which these are 2.5-inch squares. These are 5-inch squares. You can make your own, or you can get your pre-cuts like we've got here. This quilt I'm doing with the already prepared pre-cuts just because I have them. This would be a really cute quilt with scraps. So if you have a stack of 5-inch scraps and you have a stack of 2.5-inch scraps, great quilt. You don't even have to go out and get anything. But let's get started and let me show you what I'm doing. To get started, I'm going to take my background square, and then I'm going to take my pile of my little 2.5-inch mini charms and just leave them right there. I'm going to pick one up. I'm going to put it right sides together on this corner of the white, and I'm going to stitch from corner to corner. Now I'm going to cut my thread here just to show you something, but I'm not going to the next time. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away from this seam, and then I'll have these two little pieces here left over. Instead of just putting them to the side and putting them in my scrap pile or throwing them away or whatever you're going to do with them, I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. So I'm going to stitch a scant 1/4 inch away from that stitch line that I did. And what I've got now is 2 stitch lines right here. I'm going to cut directly in the middle of those two, so that what I end up here with is half square triangles. I'm going to lay that to the side. I'm going to iron this one open, and it'll look like that. Then I'm going to take a different piece and I'm going to put it in this corner, and I'm going to do the same thing. Stitch from corner to corner. Instead of cutting my thread, I'm going to turn it around like this and go ahead and stitch that other line a 1/4 inch away from the one I just stitched. I do a scant 1/4 inch, but you can do whatever you want as long as they're all the same. And then I'm going to cut in the middle of those. So again, I've got my half square triangle. I'll put that to the side and iron this one open. I'm going to do the same thing with these other 2 corners. Cut it open, lay that to the side, iron it open, and I have one more corner to do. When you're doing it the way I'm doing it by stitching that other line now, stitch off the fabric a little bit so that you can turn it like this, and then go a 1/4 inch again. Then cut your thread. Cut between the lines. And then iron it open. And what you've got is this square right here. And I'm going to make a bunch of these, and I'm going to put them together. And what I'm going to do with these is I'll iron these open and set them to the side for now. But I'm going to try to use this in maybe a border. I'm not sure really, but I don't want these to go to waste, and they match this fabric line because they're in this fabric line. So I'm going to use them somehow in the quilt, whether it be top and bottom border if I don't have enough for all the way around, or I'll use them all the way around. We'll see. So I'm going to keep going making these, and then I'll come back to you. When you're done sewing this mini charm together, you'll end up with 10 squares that look like this, with 2 extra, and then you've got your stack of half square triangles. Now I've ironed some of mine open. What I'll end up doing is squaring these off and putting them on the border like I said. I'm not sure how. You could form them into flying geese. You could do several different things with them. But right now I'm gonna put these to the side and decide later how I decide it looks best together. But I'm gonna keep going with this. And you'll get, like I said, 10 from each mini charm pack. So if you have scraps at home, this is a great way to get rid of them. Then you don't have to go out and buy the charm packs and the mini charms. But if you do, we've got a lot of them at the shop. The link is below. But again, you could use scraps with this and it would be just as cute. So I'm going to keep going by opening another charm pack. And I'm going to keep going, putting them together, and let's see how we decide to put them together. Your next step after you've got these put together like this is to take one at a time and go like this, put them under a 5-inch ruler, or you could use a bigger ruler and just use that one corner like the 5-inch measurements of it. But I'm going to use this 5-inch ruler. Then you'd turn it and then do the same thing with this side, which it's good, we don't need it. Now we'll take the next one, line that up. Not that much to take off of these, but every little bit will help. If there's just a tad bit you still want it gone. See, that side's good. So we're going to keep doing this until I get all of them measured out to 5 inches. And then the next step will be to put them together. So I'm just going to keep going until I get them all done. Once I've got them all squared up, then I'm going to take 2 of them and put them right sides together. And then I'm going to line up this point, just making sure that that point is lined up together. And then I'm going to pin it. And then when I do that, this side and this side should line up as well. So what I'll do is I'll sew down this side. And then you'll come up with 2 squares like this. I'm going to keep going, add another one right here, and I'm just doing a scant 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to keep going until I get it as wide as I want it. And then we'll come back and see what it looks like. I've made several squares now, but I've got myself a little routine set up, a little method to make it go a little bit faster. So I'm stitching one line across that side. I'm putting these one in the corner here, stitching across that diagonal like we were before. And I'm just chain piecing them like this. I'll do about 4 and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just doing that one diagonal line. Now, I'm doing more than 4 at a time, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Then I'll cut my thread. You don't really even have to. You can just pull it out and turn it. Then I'll turn it, and I'll stitch the 1/4 inch on that other side where we make these. Remember, we were not wanting to throw these away, so we're making these little half square triangles. So I'll stitch that line. Then I'll do it for the next one of the 4. And the next one. And the next one. Then when I cut them apart, I'll cut all 4 of them apart. And then I've got this stitch line, 2 of them right there, and I'm going to cut right down the middle of it so that what I end up with is this piece that we want that looks like this, and then this half square triangle like this. And I'll iron them open. And these little ones, I'm just putting in a stack over here to the side. And I'll do something with those later. I'm not sure if it'll be in this quilt or the next quilt, but for now I'm just putting them to the side. I don't want to waste them. And they're measured out the same size. They're perfect to go ahead and stitch, and we'll do something with them. If nothing else, it could be a cute little doll blanket, doll quilt. I may end up putting it in this quilt. I may end up putting it in another quilt. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but I'm not going to waste them. So I'm going to iron them all open. I'll put these little ones to the side. I'll take these, now that I've got one side done, and I'll flip them, and I'll do the same thing to the other side. So I'll put that square right there. I'll stitch down that line. I'll do the same with these, and then when I'm done with all 4 of these, I'll go and do these other 2 sides so that they end up looking like this. And I have found that this speeds me up just a little bit, and every little bit helps. So I'm going to keep going, and when I get enough done to show you what they look like when you put them together, then we'll put them together. So don't leave me yet, we're not done. Once you've got your squares made, then you take these, the little squares, and I put them to the side. I don't know yet what I'm going to make with them. I could put them into a little doll blanket for a child's doll, or I can make a border with it. I can make an entire quilt with it. Who knows? But for right now, I didn't want to waste it, so I've put them to good use, and I'm going to put them to the side. I'll figure that out later. But when you make your squares, this is what it turns out to look like. I can show you better up here. Look how it turns out. Super cute. So I'm going to keep going with this and keep making it bigger. This is going to be one of those projects, like I have many of, that I come in here and when I've got a few minutes I work on this. So this is going to be an ongoing project until I decide how big I want to make it. I don't know yet, but it's a cute, cute quilt. It's going to be. And you can do this. You don't have to have the little mini charms like I had. You don't have to have those. You don't have to have the 5-inch white charms. You can cut it from your stash. You can do yardage for the white background. You don't have to do a white background. You do whatever you want. But for all these would be great to clean out a whole bunch of small scraps in your stash. Lots of ways you can do it. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you try it with me. If you do, send me a picture. I'd love to see it. And get your picture submitted for Saturday morning spotlight. We would love to see what you're working on as well. Until next time, I'm going to close here, do a little bit more of this as I have time. And well, for now, happy quilting.